opening ceremony, so I'll do it. All right. Our mission is to foster academic and social growth for each student in a safe, supportive school environment. Our vision is to be a learning community that inspires our students and staff to think critically, grow intellectually, and live with integrity. And we forgot the pledge. Stand for the pledge.
Yep.
I forgot that part, sorry.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Item 3, additions to and approval of the agenda. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
I will second.
Any changes needed?
I don't think so.
Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Item passes. Item 4, approval of minutes from the special meeting of June 4th. Should there have been, oh, it's acknowledgement of minutes later. Okay. Approval of minutes from the special meeting of June 4th. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
I will second.
Any discussion? Look pretty good. All right, all those in favor, please indicate with aye.
Aye.
Item passes. Item 5. It's you.
So first, the facilities update. There's not, I believe we have a resolution in the board this evening that takes us and finalizes DD. Sure, I don't know what that stands for.
Design and development.
Thank you. There you go, design and development.
Maybe backwards.
Which gets us set up for the next phase, which is a good thing. In addition, we did do a revision to our ARP ESSER dollars. We will now be able to, because the quote came back in closer to where we needed it to be, we're gonna be able to do the gym HVAC system as well as the 100 building. And we thought we were gonna have to choose, but we're gonna be able to cover both of those using our ESSER dollars, which is a great thing. So that work will, Mr. Anderson has started working with Train, and we're hoping to get that ball rolling. It has to be completed by December 24th, so, with the rules around those dollars. So, but we're moving, and that's exciting. I don't think there's anything else in terms of facilities. We have another meeting this Thursday, and we're meeting bi-weekly right now, so good stuff. Annual bullying and harassment report. So each year we post this to our website and update how many reports we received. The first one, we received 4 reported alleged incidents through our Public Schoolworks online submission. And then down below accounts for 5 more informal reports that either went through me or the building principals in terms of that could have been reported by staff, students, or parents that were looked into those allegations. So that's an annual report. We'll be posting, and I asked Mr. Anderson to post it this week or early next week.
So is that 4 through the Public School Works
Yes.
online? Sorry for being picky, it just
No.
says May 202.
Oh,
and
no.
So we have a
Thank
4
you.
in there if we're
Yep.
gonna keep
Nope.
the report.
I'll make
Okay.
that change. Thank you.
When these are reported, is there a procedure that you have that's a standard, we respond within so many days? What happens after they're reported?
So it goes to, we respond, we follow up, we do with the person making the complaint. We have found that we need some work on some consistency on that. So we did some work last year on that, and based on what was reported this year, we are gonna do a follow-up conversation because we didn't adhere to everything we said we were going to. So we have some work there to do. But best practice we get that report, we follow up with that family within 24, unless it's a weekend, and possibly till Monday, on what happened, what occurred, what was reported, and through that conversation determine next steps, whether investigation, interviewing, whether it needs to be referred to either a Title IX or something more in depth, or if it's just a singular incident that is actually not harassment or bullying, and then we take steps to address that. So
sorry, I'm gonna ask some more questions on this because it's important. Is there a way to report anonymously?
Yes,
Okay.
and some of them were.
Okay.
And so the anonymous ones are a little more challenging for us.
They're harder to follow up on.
Especially
Yeah.
if there are no names or no, just a grade level or a certain time of day when they saw something and reported it. We try to use our cameras or any other information we have that comes in during whatever time they said that they saw what they saw and what they're reporting. So yes, but they can report anonymously.
And then my last question is, after they file the report, is there a way to have, here are some resources for your child or your family to help them deal with whatever they've dealt, gone through, bullying resources for families? Is there a way to add that?
Well, that is part of it.
It's
Like
part of it?
when
Okay,
the
good.
team investigates, like there's always a part of, whether it's a discipline issue and we have to take those steps, but in terms of the actual student who was maybe impacted or staff member or whatever that looks like, then it is, okay, kind of those safety measures or those response measures, either counselors or school psychologists or other resources to help them maybe deal with whatever impact that had on them as an individual. So we try to do a wraparound approach every time we're working with any situation with our students.
This number seems low, is that pretty typical? Or?
It's actually higher than last year.
Okay.
Last year, we had 2 through Public School Works, and I think we were at 4 informal. It's still up on the website.
Have all these been resolved? Do you know?
They've all been addressed,
Okay.
yes. So, I won't say completely resolved, but they are all addressed.
Okay.
So yeah, so that's, one of the things that I find encouraging is because more people are at least using the online resource to report to
Oh,
us.
yes.
So I think that's encouraging, because we can't address what we don't know about, and we do encourage people if they see something to say something, so that we can take steps to intervene and address it.
If this is the total number of actual incidents of bullying and harassment that we have, I would be shocked.
Yes.
It's really low.
Right.
So I'm glad that they're using it more.
Yeah, so hopefully, and we send it out every year at the beginning of the year. It's available on our website. If anybody goes up and just searches bullying, it'll automatically come up to a link where people can report it, so.
Thank you.
Yep. Beyond that, just a couple other things I wanted to share. Last week, 27 staff members went to Higher Ground, which is in West Harrison, Indiana, for a 4-day retreat. Where we had 2 facilitators come in, Elise Ventura and Nassif Rogers, and they worked with us on understanding kind of the history of education and how that has shaped our current system, and how we can maybe start rethinking the structures in the school to make them equitable for all learners. It was a great conversation. We had teachers, we had related service staff, we had admin. So I think a lot of us left feeling pretty energized and about the conversation. Also a little disheartened that our system's set up around deficits and to marginalize certain groups of students. And so, but we are committed to having the conversations and working towards making it different here at Finneytown. So that was encouraging. Trying to think what else I had. Those were the 3 main things in the last week, especially with last week. We did, the newsletter is almost finalized. They were waiting from the final graphics, so that'll go out this week, early next week at the latest. We met with Allerton Hill today. In addition, they are working, they gave us the first draft of the graphics for the strategic plan. I have a little bit of feedback for them, and I'll share it with the board to give feedback. I just got those this afternoon. So they provided a 17-page document, which would be available on our website, and then a front and back page that we could share with families in a larger scale, which gives kind of a summary of the strategic plan. So
Nice.
they look really good.
Cool. Thank you.
Yep.
All right. Any questions for Lori? All right. Moving on to public address, I have one turned in. So I'm just going to read the top part to make sure everyone understands, and we follow policy, and then I will let you speak. The board believes it is in the best interest and the best interest of the students of the district to hear comments from members of the public. It has been, therefore, a long-standing practice of the board to encourage and allow residents to speak at the public meeting. This may be done by completing the bottom portion of this form and giving it to the board president prior to the board meeting. The following guidelines ensure that anyone interested in addressing the board may do so, and that board conducts the business of the school district in an effective and efficient manner. Number 1, attendees must register their intent to participate in the public participation portion of the meeting upon their arrival at the meeting by completing this form and returning it to the board president or presiding officer. 2, each speaker is limited to 5 minutes. 3, for the public record, each speaker addressing the board must state their name, address, and, if appropriate, group affiliation. When any material or handouts must be presented to the treasurer for record. 4, the naming of individuals, profanity, abusive language, and speeches that invade individual privacies will not be tolerated or permitted. 5, the board will take no action regarding matters or issues presented through public address in the meeting in which the public address was made. All necessary follow-ups will be made verbally or in writing at a later date. All right, Wyatt? Wherever you want, just.
There's a microphone over here, if you want to be heard.
Or if you think you can project, that's fine, it's up to you.
I'm his assistant.
Oh, thank you.
Good evening. My name is Wyatt Brooks. I live at 8740 Quaker Road, so pretty much right next door.
Thank you.
I will be starting my senior year at Finneytown, and I'm in the process of earning my Eagle Scout at Northminster Presbyterian Church with Troop 857. One of the requirements to earn the rank of Eagle Scout is to conduct an Eagle Scout project. My Eagle Scout project is to help organize the PTA closet at the elementary school building. With other scouts, friends, and families, we will remove everything in the closet and build 8 10-foot shelves down the left side of the closet. Once complete, we will work with the staff to move everything back into the closet. These shelves should significantly help to clean the space and make it more usable. One of the tasks for any Eagle Scout project is to conduct fundraising to pay for the materials needed to complete the project. After putting together the materials list, which I have provided you, or in this case my dad has provided you, I've determined the total cost for the project before tax will be $746.86. I understand that the school board may not be able to help fund my project, but I'm hoping that other people and organizations in the district might be willing to help. I will be going to area businesses to ask for discounts on materials, but it will still require funding. I hope that speaking to you, the members of the school board, and others online at here at the meeting, may help generate some interest in assisting me with my fundraising goal. If you guys or anyone else is willing to assist me with my project, I can be reached at my home phone number of 513-522-6445. Thank you very much for allowing me to speak tonight.
Thank you. All right. You'll pass that to Stuart. Thank you. All right, moving on to item 7, review of action steps from last month. Number 1, schedule the Records Commission meeting prior to June 30th. That meeting has already taken place. Number 2, schedule 5th and 6th grade band orchestra subcommittee meeting. That meeting also took place, along with a second meeting with the directors and staff. And then number 3, special board meeting on June 4th. That is also complete. And then breakfast and awards ceremony on the last day for staff, also complete. That explains why it was so busy. Anything else that we missed from the review action steps? All right, moving on to board coordination. I'll go first. So, let's see here. As far as athletics go, I did not attend the FAA meeting. I will be going to the boosters meeting on June 25th. Right now, I'll have an update then, but they're really working hard on the Greek parking volunteers. They're trying to fill those slots. I forwarded to the board the volunteer sign-up list for board and volunteers from the public. So if you have time available during the Greek festival, please sign up.
Is that not this weekend, the one after? Is it the
It's
last
always
one?
the weekend after my anniversary, so it is June 28th
Okay.
is that weekend. Bummer. Policy committee met, or will meet again on June 24th to discuss the cell phone ban policy that went through Ohio. Some more to come on that. Records committee met on the 7th. The meeting minutes are in the record, in the notes. And then the end of year breakfast was really nice. I thought the breakfast from Bob Evans was really good. It went over really well, I think. It was really nice to see staff. Let's see here, graduation. I want to call out a thank you to Tina and Melissa, Tina Reynolds and Melissa Reed. If you have not heard, we are able, it's the CEP program. Is that what it's called, Lori? Yes. Yes, so they have put a lot of work in and done all the applications and all that's needed for us to get the CEP program to make sure all of our students get free lunch next year. So, huge thank you to them because that means that kids are going to be able to focus on learning, not have to worry about paying for food. Yeah. The tax holiday is coming up in Ohio. They announced the dates. It will be July 30th through August 8th. I'm really glad that they've extended it. It seems longer this year. I don't know if it's always been that long, but it's a whole week. Yeah, and that's really about it. But I did want to also call out for board members. There is just a reminder that OSBA offers legal services as part of our membership. So if you have generic questions about what a board member can and cannot do legally or say or any of those, I highly recommend using them instead of going through our lawyer that we pay for phone calls. So it's just a little reminder. That's it.
I didn't really have anything to report. I just want to say thanks to all of our administration, our staff who came together to come up with a resolution for our band options next year. Although it may not have been what any of us would have necessarily picked, I'm thankful we were able to come together and come up with something for our students. So excited about it. So yeah. And then also beyond differences, we're going to be doing a tailgate coming up in September. So I don't know the exact date. We're still kind of planning it out, but Scott Meyer is head of that, and Kelly Lynch. So if you would like to help out with that, reach out to them. They're looking for organizations too. If you guys know any organizations that you would like to have a booth, or if you'd like to host a booth, reach out.
Okay. Jamie?
Not a ton to add. I want to get the meeting going quickly. I sat in on the finance committee meeting with Dave. I'm sure he's going to refer a little bit to how we went, but we basically went over the 5-year forecast. As things stand today. Dave, just a heads up, I'm going to meet with Sarah Braun, the new trustee, to just go over it with her. It's public record, so I can just talk to her a little bit about it. She was asking. So I'm just going to sit down and talk to her, and I have a good relationship. So just to try and push them to move a little bit quicker maybe on some things, not to kick the can down the road as they've been doing a little bit. So I'd like to get going on that. And just... Jaleesa, you mentioned, getting the band things settled. I'm just looking forward to getting down to talking about educating kids and not putting extracurriculars over actual learning. So, and special ed and stuff like that, and math and English. I think that's where we should be focusing because that's where we need the most help. So, thank you for everything that you do.
All right. And then officially, we'd like to acknowledge the committee reports from the Records Commission and the Finance Committee. Okay, anything else for board coordination? Oh, I didn't mention the retreat coming up. I will get through the topics. Some of them are a little bit more complicated on what they actually are going to be about or what we're going to do in specifics, so trying to work through that list. Lori and I have.
Can I just share about the RP piece?
Yes.
Because I think that's important. I know the board has asked to have restorative practice training. And when Lindsay and I were talking, and after we met and I was reflecting, we have always done restorative practice training 2 days all day. And so training versus informing what it's about, I think, are two different things. And it's my understanding the board has more interest in being trained. And if that's the case, we were talking about hosting more of a training later in the summer, but maybe possibly even opening it to community members, but doing the training. I don't think a two-hour training doesn't exist, let's put it that way, for restorative practices. So I just kind of want to share that with you guys, because as Lindsay and I were processing about what that would look like, I think we'd be doing a disservice to what it is to try to cram it into an hour or 2 hours. So that, just from that lens, I wanted to share that with you guys.
So you're thinking like bigger, like at a later date for the entire community, like an evening type thing?
Well, if you're talking 2 days all day, I think that's what we got to figure out. Are there 2 days maybe in August or September? What does that look like? Yes, so I think that's more conversation maybe a group of us can have and start planning and thinking about it. And then that would also allow us to have maybe our students involved in some of the facilitation, our facilitators, and so some of the administration as well. But I do know there's other community members who've asked too and have curiosity around restorative practices that I think would show up and be interested in that, so.
All right. If there's nothing else, moving on to item 9, financial matters. We have an adoption of the consent calendar. Do I have a motion?
I'll move.
Second.
All right, Dave.
Okay, we'll start off with the monthly financial report. So in May, we had total revenue in our general fund of $1,574,380. Fiscal year to date, revenue, $20,775,434. Expenditures for the month of May, $2,118,586. And fiscal year to date, $18,489,238. Cash balance in the general fund, the end of May, $16,004,561. And so far, we're progressing pretty well. The next report will be our final, and I think that, we'll do pretty good. Revenue should exceed expenditures by a fair amount. Okay, item B, depository and investment balances as of May 31st. U.S. Bank, $674,775. U.S. Bank Construction Fund, $2,853,415. Star Ohio, main account, $23,705,474. Star Ohio Construction Fund number 2, $3,275,635. Construction Fund number 1, $2,011,257. And then our Star Ohio account for our state share, $1,075,686. Item C, the interest earned on depository investment accounts for May. General fund interest income, $115,876.97. And our construction funds, we earned $30,815.45.
And that's monthly, right? That's what we
That's
got
just for the month,
Okay.
correct. Item D is our monthly bond project spending commitment report. That is the last section in the monthly report. The 5-year forecast is behind that, but did change the layout a little bit. This is really to help the administrative team as we start working through these different development stages and have to start making decisions on how we're going to spend our locally funded initiative dollars. And so this is sort of starting to get geared up for that and help that decision making. But at this point, this document, which is just one table instead of two as in the past, shows that basically we have proceeds available to us of $60,102,000. We've expended $24,648,000, and that's, most of it's on the elementary, but if you look at this, you can see that there's, there's some significant dollars starting to be spent on the secondary campus as well. Approximately $171,000, I should say. We have a cash balance right now of $35,000, and we have uncommitted dollars of approximately $6.9 million that can be spent on whatever we need to finish this project and whatever additional things that we want to include with it to supplement it. Item E is a recommendation to pay an invoice to Admetum in the amount of $8,250 for some online training courses for our students. Item F is a recommendation to approve the 5-year forecast. The 5-year forecast is also in the notebooks here, and we reviewed that as a finance committee, and it has been submitted to the state. The highlights would be that if you were to look at the 5-year forecast, you can see that we have 4 years of positive cash balances. That's important because negative cash balances are technically not allowed, and so you either have to cut or you have to bring in new funds to keep that in the black, keep it positive. And so I think, by looking at this, the numbers look pretty good. It's nice to see 4 years of positive balances, but what you will notice is that we are accelerating through cash beginning next year pretty quickly. The ESSER phase out has a little bit to do to that, but we were careful not to allow that to constrain us too much, but that is an impact to a certain degree. We also have some additional staff needs for next year, and of course inflation is a real problem, and we're seeing that, and so we're having to pay more for things than we did in the past. This 4-year cash balance does roll forward as of July 1st. 5-year forecast jumps forward a whole year, and so it does make that closer. It's not 4 years, it's 3 years next year. And so I do think that we're at a point where we have some decisions to think about, and that is, are we okay with the levy in 3 years and starting to determine what that amount is? I would say that with the growth in expenditures, that a levy by itself is not enough. We do have to look at making some cuts. And we really don't have any growth in revenue moving forward. We did have some additional money come in the form of real estate and public utility taxes. The first half of that came in this fiscal year. We'll see about another $300,000 show up next year, but beyond that, there's really no true growth, because the only way that taxes are going to increase is if there's an operating levy, or if valuations go up again, which would provide some. The other way is through state funding, and our state funding is sort of locked in at a guarantee level, and so it's not growing right now. So we need to think about that moving forward. Expenditures are growing, revenues aren't.
Do we plan to look at the Cottonwood property? Is that something we're going to consider eventually, or are we planning on just letting that just have that space, or?
We haven't had, the interest we've had in that is not, it's
Yeah,
usually for senior living. And right now, that's not something that the township isn't interested in at this moment, so I think that's been part of it. We don't have another plan for it at the moment, but it's still something that we've discussed possibly, depending on where district office lands, that could be a possible site. But that decision has not been made or really evaluated thoroughly. That's probably going to be a conversation that comes back up in the fall. So, but yeah, that is an asset we have, is the Cottonwood property.
And I also had a question for the APACs. Is that for your youth council for that, or what?
That's
what
for
is
our
that?
summer school, and it's for credit recovery. So
Okay.
our students who are on that, it's for, yeah, credit recovery.
I was happy to hear too, students are being tutored at the elementary. They're having reading tutoring.
Yes.
So I was happy to hear about
Two
that.
teachers that have
Yes,
been
that's
agreed to
great.
do that, so.
Okay, any other questions about the forecast?
Not at the moment.
So just Dave, really quickly, I can't remember the answer. So the operating transfers out, the 1.7 million in fiscal year '24.
Right,
That you have
so,
on the 5-year.
yeah,
Just quickly explain
that is reflected on the forecast, a transfer of $1.7 million of surplus dollars. That's dollars that are left over after we take our revenues for the year, subtract our expenditures. I believe that's about where we are, and actually that sort of dovetails into the next item on the agenda, G. It is included in this consent calendar a recommendation to approve a transfer from the general fund to the capital projects fund in an amount not to exceed $2 million. So I don't think the amount would be $2 million, but if we end up with $2 million, then we could do as much as that. If it's 1.5 million, then we can transfer 1.5. Of course, I will talk to the board and let them know exactly where we are. And I think that it's a good thing to do. It's a good use of money. It's, I think, really important to support this project. Costs are coming in higher. We've seen it with some of the other things we put out to bid. You know, pretty soon we'll find out on this secondary campus, you know, can we get it done for the engineering estimates or not, or how much have things gone up. And really, a lot of this money is not really for that. We've got some money set aside for that already, but it's to take care of these other renovations that sit on that secondary campus. And, you know, if we want those to progress, that will help us. It can also reduce our liability in the future in terms of borrowing. That's money we wouldn't have to borrow. Also, if the Whitaker development goes as planned and we're able to get a revenue source from that, not having to borrow as much, maybe not having to borrow any of it, you know, if we've got this money set aside. So I think it's a good use for it, and I would recommend it. And if the money's not needed, there is an opportunity to get it back to the general fund.
That was going to be my question.
Yes.
Okay.
So then item H is a recommendation to approve some advances back to the general fund. These are federal grants that we were not able to get cash requests in for. We have to keep these balances positive, so some money was moved. And so this just returns that money back to its original source, the general fund. Then item I is a recommendation to approve adjustments to the amended official certificate of estimated resources. This is due a couple of days before the end of the fiscal year. We don't have a meeting between now and then, but you know, this allows me to complete that assignment, get that information into the Budget Commission, and then I will bring the results back to the board at the next meeting, and this is a traditional thing that we do. Then item J is very similar to that. It's also information reported to the Budget Commission on our final permanent appropriations figure. And then item K is it's sort of year-end accounting stuff. It's a request to make some adjustments to the accounting records, adjusting actual to budget as a final step before we close. Item L is a recommendation to approve temporary appropriations for next year, which begins on July 1st at 1/4 of the budget approved for this year. And that's, again, a common practice for us, and most other school districts will bring a permanent appropriations to the board in September for approval. which will take the place of this. That's all I have.
Questions, comments?
I just, on the general fund, giving up to 2 million, when you say you'll come to the board with another number, what does that mean?
Means I will let the board, I will inform the board of the amount of surplus and my recommendation to, again, fine tune that number. So I wouldn't take more than 2 million. And if the board's already set on a number, or members of it think that, you know, there's a number they like, that's fine, because this is a not to exceed. So, you know, that's.
There's 2 board members not here, I know we're not going to have a full board in July, but I think 2 of them might have some input, or would like some input on the number, so.
Well, yeah, and certainly you know, I will make a recommendation, and yeah, if there's any concern about that, then we can talk about that more, certainly. I wouldn't want to move any amount that the board's not comfortable with.
Anything else? Can I have a roll call vote, please?
Ms. McMullen?
Yes.
Mr. Ray?
Yeah.
Ms. Lee?
Yes. Item passes. Moving on to 9.2, resolution requesting the county auditor to make advance payments of taxes pursuant to Ohio Revised Code 321.34. I will move.
I'll second. Did you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, well, once again, we do this every year at this time, and it's simply a request to receive advances throughout this period of collection rather than waiting for a final reconciled settlement that would come 3 months later. So this allows us to begin earning interest on those cash flows.
Let us earn the money rather than them earn the money.
Yes.
Questions? Can I have a roll call, please?
Mr. Ray?
Yep.
Ms. Lee?
Yes.
Ms. McMullen?
Yes.
Sorry, item passes. All right, moving on to item 10, adoption of the consent calendar. Can I have a motion?
I will move.
I'll second.
Okay. Items A through F are personnel, so you'll see we have some resignations and new hires, also the approval of some summer work through extended days and the hourly summer work rate. When we get to item G, we have the first review of the policies. We did get something from Neola. We know the cell phone policy. We have a year to adopt a cell phone policy. It doesn't have to be at the beginning of the year, but we are going to meet with Norm to kind of go over the model one from the state, and then talk with both of our building principals along with Norm about what this would look like in actual practice here at Finneytown. So just know that's still coming. You won't see that on this revision, but more.
So that new policy is only for secondary technically, right?
Schools.
Is it all schools?
Schools, all
Okay.
schools. Yep. So we're working through that. We'll make it hopefully make sense for us.
How much more work is it for you to send like the tweaks that we make to the policy changes? I know before you've sent it in red or in purple. Will you do that for these as well?
I can ask Latora.
If you don't, if it's not too much, if it's too much, don't worry about it.
I think they're
Just not reds and
automatically,
greens, please.
I think they're automatically done.
I think they're done in red and greens by the vendor.
But if we can ask the vendor to not, I literally can't.
Oh, I forgot.
So.
I can edit it for you.
Okay.
Don't worry about it.
Any
If
good.
not,
Okay.
I'll edit it. But that would be something that if Neola would consider fixing, not just for Jamie, but for everyone else who's colorblind in the world. Just a
Alright.
thought.
Nope, I appreciate it. Item H is the resolution regarding using the ESSER funding for the replacement of the HVAC in the 100 building as well as the gym. Sorry. Item L is approval of a resolution for our auxiliary participation. This is our non-public St. Vivian. We approved their contract with the county. Interesting.
Do we pay that or do we just approve it?
The money flows through us. So it's not our funding, but we basically oversee it. Is that correct? Is that
That's
how you
correct.
would? Item J is approval of our insurance coverage renewal. Item K, approval of the alternative school food authority arrangement. This is our, Dave, I don't know what. did you
This
say?
allows Milford to come in and run our program for
Okay,
us.
all right, thank you for clarifying that. And then item L is the acceptance of donations, a cash donation of $1,175.71 for marching band from the Finneytown Music Parent Association on April 22nd, and a cash donation of $6,000 for band camp scholarships from the Finneytown Music Parents Association.
Is that for last year or for this year?
I
For
think
this
it's
year.
This year, yeah,
Okay.
it's coming summer. Okay.
Any questions? When do we expect to have the HVAC done by, do we know, or started? Do we have dates?
We believe the work will start sometime in August, is the last grant had informed me. And we know it has to be completed, the work,
Yeah.
by the December date. But we're hoping within, my understanding, it was like a 2 to 3 week project. So once all the materials had arrived, it would happen pretty quickly. But it's just a matter of getting the things ordered and getting them in and then doing the work, so. Okay.
And we're still set for July for Whitaker, for the demolition?
Yes.
Okay.
With a substantial completion at the end of September, so
Yes,
between
that's
that
just-
window, yeah.
right.
Mhm.
Any questions? Can I have a roll call?
Ms. Lee,
Yes.
Ms. McMullen,
Yes.
Mr. Ray,
Yep.
Item passes. Are there any action steps? I am still working with Lori on the board retreat for July 27th and 28th.
Would you
Working
like
through
me to
that.
coordinate food or anything?
That
I'm
would
happy
be
to do
great.
that.
Yes. And then if you had topics that you're interested in particular, just let me know if you want to leave them. I think the list was shared in the minutes. It was a pretty thorough list. But that's it.
I just have one question. So last meeting, we approved the vouchers joining the coalition. Do I need to do anything for that, or is that,
no.
okay, just making sure.
Okay.
We mentioned about Neola, we want,
Oh, yeah.
the
I put that on my
The
list.
edits.
Yes, edits
Okay.
from Neola.
edits. Okay. And then also, Mr. Ray sent me a request for my evaluation, so I will provide that.
Yeah, and Lori has hers
Yeah.
as well to do.
I'll have that to you guys by the end of the week.
Thank you. I know we had talked about not having a July meeting in between this and the regular meeting in July. Do we have anything that we need to talk?
I don't think so,
Think the
because we're having the
retreats.
board retreat.
Yeah.
Exactly,
later,
it's
so I think we're
later,
good.
so.
And then I won't be at the July meeting.
I won't either, so.
You're up.
I'm up.
So are you.
Yeah.
All right, moving on to item 12. The next regular meeting of the Finneytown Board of Education will take place on Monday, July 15th at 6:30 PM in the Brent Board Office Meeting Room, 8791 Brent Drive, 45231. Open forum to begin at 6. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll move for that.
Have a second?
All those in favor? Aye. We are adjourned.
Thanks, everybody.
We have got to get this heat figured out before July. Just even if you turn on all day and get it to be a nice